Hello guys, my name is Brad Carter. We're doing a series of videos for you with some lovely store-cupboard ingredient recipes for you to try out of your food bag. Today we're going to be cooking chickpea water meringues. It's a little bit different, really a lot of fun. So the brine from a tin of chickpeas we're going to drain, which is this, and then we're going to whip it just like egg whites with some sugar, and then stabilise it with a little bit of lemon juice. We're going to cook them in the oven, so we've got meringue shells, just like a pavlova. To go with the meringues, we're going to make a little custard, add some milk, some egg yolks, sugar and cornflour. We're going to add that back to the pan and then cook it out so it's nice and thick. So the first stage of this recipe is the chickpea water meringues. So we're using a stand mixer. If you haven't got one of these, you can use an electric hand whisk, but you will need one of these pieces of equipment because you're whisking for nearly 10-12 minutes, and that's really going to give you the stability of the meringues when you put them in the oven. So we're going to start by adding the chickpea water to the mixer, and we're going to start whisking that. So the chickpea water's getting nice and thick now. By gradually adding the sugar little bit by bit, we're also going to stabilise it with a little couple of drops of lemon juice as well. That's it now, the meringue is at exactly the right consistency. You can see it's really thick, really glossy, and that's because we added the sugar step by step in stages. We've been whisking that for 10-12 minutes, and you really want to do that. It's so important for the finished result. You can see now how stiff the meringue is and how it's sitting on that whisk and it's not falling off. It's exactly what you do with egg white. You're trying to create stiff peaks so that when you cook it in the oven, you get these shells of meringue that stay intact and they don't sink or flatten out. Okay guys, now that the meringue is nicely stiff and whipped to the right consistency, as you can see, we're going to transfer it to a piping bag, pipe it out onto the tray so it's nice and neat. If you haven't got a piping bag, it's not an issue at all. You can just spoon it out. The only thing we're doing it in a piping bag for is so that it looks really neat and pretty when we come to plate up. It doesn't matter though, you can spoon it out, you can do any kind of shapes you want. You can also, we're going to do some little neat, small kind of pavlova size, individual size ones. But if you wanted to do a big one, you can just whop it out onto a tray and just cook it through. Like I said, the most important part is now is the cooking. The shape is down to yourself and what you want really. So I'm going to put some of the meringue into the piping bag. Okay, I'm going to cut that. If you wanted to get really fancy and pastry chef as well, you could put a nice little nozzle in the end of there with a star shape or whatever you like, but I'm just going to go freestyle with the bag. So we're going to pipe out with quite a little bit of pressure and keep that circle. Like that. You can see they're nice and neat little pavlova size individual portions, and we're going to put them into the oven 100 degrees for 90 minutes, so that will cook them really nice and evenly, no colour, and set the inside of the meringue as well as the outside. So you're going to pop the meringues in the oven 100 degrees for 90 minutes on a lined baking tray. Okay, so now the chickpea meringues are cooked, we've taken them out of the oven to cool down. We're going to reset the oven to 180 degrees. So we'll turn it up to roast the rhubarb. So what we're going to do, we're going to cut the rhubarb into small pieces, like so. This is going to be one of the garnishes for the meringues. So the flavours we're doing are rhubarb and custard. Classic British combination. So we're going to take the rhubarb, some of the caster sugar, just going to roll the rhubarb around the sugar. And then that's going to go into the baking tray ready to go in the oven. So coating the rhubarb in sugar like this is, what's good about it is you're only adding the right amount of sugar to it rather than pouring loads on. Whatever clings to the rhubarb is what's going to sweeten the rhubarb. All we're doing is looking to enhance the flavour rather than make it really sweet. So whatever sticks to the rhubarb is all that we put into the recipe. Now we're going to take any lemon you got in your fridge, any little end pieces if you're doing another dish and you cut an end piece up, always keep it because it's good for just using the juice. So we're going to spray a little bit of juice over. So now we've got the lemon and sugar juice in there with the rhubarb. We're going to pop that into the oven, 180 degrees for 15 minutes to roast it just till it's just tender. The next part of the recipe, we're going to make a fresh custard. So the ingredients for making a fresh custard is fresh whole milk, egg yolks, we're not going to use the whites. We've got some vanilla extract, which is taken from pure vanilla pods. You can actually buy this in most shops as well. And then we're going to add some sugar and some cornflour to thicken it, to give us that sort of shop bought custard feel. So the first thing we're going to do is separate the egg yolks from the whites. So an easy way of doing that is to set a sieve over another pan or a bowl, crack the egg, let the white fall out through your sieve, and then you can put the yolk into the sugar and the corn flour that you're going to use. This recipe is 5 egg yolks to 250 grams of whole milk. I'm doing the eggs between the 2 shells that are broke, but there's also another way you can do it, which I'll demonstrate. So you can drop the yolk and the white into your hand and just let the white fall away, and then you're left with the yolk. Okay, now it's time for us to make the custard. We've got the milk on the heat and we're just going to add the vanilla extract, or if you have got any or have access to any, you could use a scraped vanilla pod, but the extract's absolutely fine. So we're just going to bring that milk up to heat just before it boils, and then once that happens we're going to add it to the egg yolks, sugar and the corn flour. You can whisk that in there so that it's nice and smooth for when the milk does go in. Making a fresh custard with egg yolks is always going to give you a far better product and a lot more flavour. You can smell the vanilla now coming out of the milk. You can see the milk's just about to boil now. I'm just going to take that off and then carefully add it little bit by bit to the egg yolk. We'll add it little bit by bit so we don't scramble the egg yolks. And some more. And some more. Now everything's in the bowl, we're going to add it back to the pan to thicken the custard and cook it out. I'm going to turn the heat down a little bit. And now at this stage, we want to be whisking the custard all the time. We don't want it to burn or catch on the bottom of the pan. So by whisking it all the time, we're going to thicken it evenly as it's coming back up to heat. It happens quite quickly as well. The cornflour in the egg yolks is going to thicken the custard as it's cooking, and the cornflour in the egg yolks is going to thicken the custard as it's cooking and help us to get the right consistency. Starting to get warm again now because it's starting to get a little bit thicker. It's going to go from thin to thick very quickly, so you've got to keep whisking continuously, keep your eye on it, keep looking at the consistency of the custard. You can see now it's getting thicker. Got to keep that whisk moving, keep the custard from burning along the bottom of the pan. So at this stage, obviously, we're thickening it, and also we're cooking out any powderiness from the cornflour. So we're cooking the eggs and the cornflour at the same time. We all love custard as well. This is the best making your own. See, it's nice and thick now. Keep it moving. It's going to make it really nice and smooth, continuously whisking. If you wasn't to whisk, it will cook on the bottom before it cooks on the top, and that will inevitably give you lumps running through the custard, and that's not what we want. I'm going to turn the heat off now. The residual heat from the pan is going to cook the custard through continuously now, even though it's not on any heat. There it is, nice thick custard. Okay, so now we've got everything made, everything's cooked, we're ready to plate up and enjoy our amazing dessert. So we've got the chickpea water meringues, they're cooked, set, ready to go. We've got the custard, and then we've got the roasted rhubarb that we did with the lemon and the sugar. And we're going to use all of the juices that came out from roasting as well. So the first thing to plate up is the custard. So like, we've got these classic English flavours of rhubarb and custard. Then we're going to go back for some rhubarb. You can put as little as much on as you like. It's totally up to you. You've got about 3 or 4 portions on this recipe. There's some rhubarb. Some of the lovely rhubarb juice with the sugar, lemon, and all of the lovely pink colour that comes out of the rhubarb, out the way it's naturally grown. Then we go back for some more custard. Some more rhubarb. Some more of the juice. And then lastly, I'm going to finish it off with one of our perfect chickpea water meringues on the top. To make our own lovely chickpea water meringue with rhubarb and custard.